Originally, there was a spider in the center of the earth, rather like there might be a caramel somewhere in the middle of another caramel, a bigger chocolate nut roast dessert meal with a little inserted pleasant sweet thing inside. There was a planet with a big spider in it, and the inevitable happened after about 200 billion years. This planet bumped into a slightly larger one, dislodging the spider within it, and inside that spider there then burst out hundreds and hundreds of tiny wristwatches, and each of those wristwatches was set to a different time. And as soon as time began, it started going in every direction at once. It was omnicellular, it was completely chaotic, and so an ombudsman was called in. His name was Mr. Macpherson, who's been in some of John Heckley's poems. And Mr. Macpherson swept all the wristwatches into a receptacle quite similar to the one that Graham swept his dead bees into so he could incinerate them. Mr. Macpherson got all these tiny wristwatches born of the great mother spider. And he spent a long time, but of course time only counts if there is time, but he spent a lot of whatever you might measure it by. He would have grown older had he needed to, setting all these watches at exactly the same point. He was a Virgo. His birthday is September the 9th. And the inevitable happened, and the wristwatches got out during the night. They all got out of the dustpan, and they set off for themselves to different parts of the world, and eventually grew legs and were born and died and were expelled from the Garden of Eden. The time, as we know it, began. But this celebrates the original point of life that comes from the mother spider. And we're going to sing it and go. Thank you.